Okay, before we begin tonight, I want to remind everybody attending this evening's meeting in person that the meeting is being recorded and this room is equipped with microphones throughout that will pick up any talking. So please refrain from having sidebar discussions that you do not wish the microphones to record. With that being said, I call the meeting of August 5th, 2024 to order at 6 p.m. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have no invocation tonight. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Potato,
Absent.
Bowman,
Excused.
here. Brown,
Here.
Clarigat,
Here.
Cole, here. Elfers,
Here.
Ranky.
Here.
Thank you. Everybody's here except for Barbara. Do I have a motion to excuse Barbara from the meeting tonight?
I'd like to excuse Councilmember Botetto from tonight's city council meeting.
Do I have a second?
I will second the motion.
Seconded by Councilmember Ranky, or motion by Councilmember Bowman. All in favor?
I
Any abstain? No? Passes unanimously. All right. So, we did a roll call already, didn't we? Councilmember Botetto is absent. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the July 15th, 2024 regular council meeting and the July 22nd, 2024 study session. Item 2, resolution number 1694, Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority grant acceptance. Item 3, approval of the checks and electronic payments in the amount of $2,286,307.42.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Cole, would you please make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda of August 5th, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bowman. Motion by Councilmember Cole. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimous. All right. And would any council member like to move anything off the agenda? Seeing none? We'll move on. Okay. Public comment. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to public comment. Do we have anybody? We have a list here. I will call first, Dawn Ayers. Come on up to the
Would you please
podium.
have the clerk read the rules before public comment?
Oh, sure. Would the clerk please read the rules before you begin?
This is the time for you to address the mayor and the council as a whole regarding items that are not on the agenda. When the mayor calls your name, please approach the podium. And if you're participating via Zoom, use the raise your hand or telephonically press *9. Before you begin your remarks, please state your name and address or city in which you reside for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. As a reminder, public comment is a time for the council to hear from you and not a time to engage in back and forth. If you raise specific questions, the mayor may direct you to the appropriate staff member for further discussion.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Dawn Elizabeth.
Could you please hit the on button?
The on button. Okay. My name is Dawn Elizabeth Woolery Ayers. I am living in Roy, Washington. I'm speaking in regards to the Woolery plaque that hung in the Heritage Park fountain. My parents are Tom and Jeannie Woolery. When I was born, we lived on Elizabeth Street here in Sumner. And when I was 9 months old, we moved into the house that my mom currently lives in, still on Everett Street. My dad has since passed away in 2020. I graduated from Sumner High School, as did both of my sisters, Rainey and Robin, as well as my dad, my mom, and two of my cousins. My grandparents were Rex and Alice Woolery, who lived at 646.5 Main Street from the 1950s until his death in 2003. Grandma passed away in 1995. Both are buried in the original cemetery, Sumner Cemetery, which the Woolery family donated the land. Jim Woolery was my dad's older brother, and he lived on Elizabeth Street. And he ran After Five Flowers for decades. He was a staple of the Daffodil Parade for the Sumner Float. He planned it and decorated it for many years. He was also a mail carrier out of the Sumner Post Office, where I currently work and have worked for the last 19 years. Ken and Aaron Woolery are my second cousins, and his mother Neva, they lived next door to Uncle Jimmy on Elizabeth Street also. My great-great-grandparents, Abraham and Mary Ann Woolery, were part of the group that came across the Natchez Trail and then settled in Sumner. And while growing up, we were in a Jeep club, the Valley Craterators, and we used to go up and visit the Natchez Trail and see the little pyramid that was up there that had all of the names of everybody that had come across the Natchez Trail. So the history of the Woolery family that I am directly related to is strong within the city of Sumner. And sorry, I'm an emotional person. So my sisters and I were all that's left of the Woolerys. And we would love to have that plaque, to have it and keep to pass down to our children and grandchildren. So that's why I'm here tonight. To speak about the future of what's going to happen with those plaques and what we would like to see happen with the Woolery plaque. So thank you.
Thank you. Andrea, do you know who I should direct her to?
Mayor, I can address that during our Mike's city administrator report unless you'd like me to do it sooner.
Thank you very much. All right, second speaker, Tina Barnett.
Tina Burnett, 228 Sumner Avenue, here in Sumner. I noticed when we were sitting outside right before the meeting that the US flag is looking a little sad. United States Code Section, Chapter 8, Section K says the flag, when it is in such a condition that is no longer a fitting emblem for display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. Now, the flag out here is not in tatters yet, so it's not that bad, but it is looking very faded. And my husband served this country for 20 years in the Air Force, and he always looked for flags that were not suitable. So in his name, I'm asking you to at least schedule purchasing a new flag and replacing the one that's up there now. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Fox.
My name is Melissa Fox. I live at 16913 8th Avenue East in Spanaway. Rex was my grandpa's brother. And so I'm directly down, my mom's a direct Woolery. And so, as you guys recall, in April, I came to the City Council to ask about the water feature. And it had been located in Heritage Park and was no longer there. It was a memorial to Sumner's history. The water feature was made up of plaques containing the city's founding families, along with other significant names and the year of their arrival in Sumner. At that first meeting, Mayor Hayden referred me to a staff member. I learned that during the demolition of the water feature, many of the plaques were damaged or destroyed. I was also informed that some of the surviving plaques were in storage. I requested information through the city's website and was referred to Derek Berry, Community Services Manager. I reached out to Mr. Berry, and on July 17th, my mom, Tina Burnett, and I met with him to view some of the surviving plaques. I want to thank Mr. Berry for his efforts to bring those plaques out and to share them. It was greatly appreciated. We were happy to see that the plaques we viewed were in good condition. I asked about the future of them, if they'd be used for a new memorial, and was told that they would not due to the damage from the demolition of the water feature. I can understand the decision not to use them in a new memorial. Mr. Berry stated that the plaques are city property and recommended I ask the city council about future disposition. I'm here tonight to offer a suggestion before the council. Could the plaques be donated to the Sumner Historical Society? I see this as an opportunity to relieve the city of the burden of storing those continued storage of those plaques. By donating them, the plaques could be preserved as artifacts of Sumner's history. I don't believe it's necessary to store or even destroy the plaques if my recommendation is acceptable. I hope the council will consider this approach for preserving the plaques to be shared with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Bierman.
Still on, correct? Still on,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Nick Bierman, 5802 Parker Road East, here in Sumner. First, I'd like to thank all of you on the city council for asking insightful questions and engaging in thoughtful debate during the study session 2 weeks ago. This is exactly the kind of discussion that we need when we're considering making changes to something like how the city council interacts with the citizens and hears from its citizens. So I was very pleased to see the number of questions that were being asked of the city staff and also the type of debate that the questions spurred. So that was exactly what I think we like to see as citizens. And I urge you to keep in mind open meeting laws when considering changes that are being made to the public input process. The council's business is the people's business, and it is our right as citizens to have opportunity to address the council without unnecessary restrictions. And then just to follow up on that, on another note, part of being involved in this process is attending and watching other council meetings like the committee meetings. And I've been attending some of those and watching some of those online. And I also want to commend the commissioners for asking specific and thoughtful questions during their meetings. I was particularly pleased to see some of the commissioners on the planning commission bring up some very good points and keep the discussion focused in a very in a very concerted manner and also asking good questions to keep the city's business at the forefront. And then finally, regarding the family name tiles and plaques from the fountain, I feel like let's go ahead as a city and make a better effort to save our history, preserve and promote it. If that means donating the tiles to a group that can better care for them, then let's talk about that. Rather than keeping those plaques and tiles locked away in storage somewhere. And I also understand that it wasn't just the fountain that had names of the family members who were pioneers in Sumner. There were also bricks that were donated and purchased. There were benches that had family names on them. There was much more to Heritage Park that seems to have been lost, and we're not remembering that right now. The families who donated these items certainly intended for them to stand the test of time and not for them to be arbitrarily removed without the consent of the citizens or families. Thanks.
Thank you.
Randall Adams.
Randall Adams, 15013 63rd Street, Cordy, Sumner, Washington. If the council is so worried about full addresses being stated before comments, have us state our name, give our full address, and then have the 3-minute clock start like the planning commission does. Under disguise of trying to stop vile comments being made by disgusting Zoom bombers whom we deplore, council's last study session quickly shifted into complaints and restrictions about those of us who come in person to speak, even though you state that oral comments are preferred to those submitted in writing. Even with citizens ceding their time or multiple citizens consecutively reading my comments, please reflect over the last year how many times you have actually had to listen to citizen comments that lasted over 30 minutes in total during a time when the city was found to be guilty of breaking the law. If you want faster meetings, follow the law and comply with court decisions. And no, it is not something you can blame solely on the prior council, as you now are not following the court's judgment you stated that you will follow. Let me read from that judgment so that you can hear your non-compliance. Because the city failed to comply with SEPA during approving the demolition permit is rescinded for this reason, 2, and the matter is remanded to the city to follow the proper SEPA process and the comprehensive plan amendment process before any decision about the demolition of the Ryan House. That's before any decision. 1663 was the first of those decisions back in September of 23 to demo the Ryan House, well before your comp plan that you currently are working on is finalized. In the proposed resolution 1685 and its 26 whereases, your beliefs are succinctly stated. Whereas the city is fully committed to strict compliance with the court's order, whereas the city council agrees, consistent with the Pierce County Superior Court order, to temporarily toll the effectiveness of resolution 1663. Note where does the court order reference tolling 1663. Temporary tolling its effectiveness directly goes against the court order because 1663 authorized demolition, and any decision is not allowed until your current comp plan process is finished. Is this why it is now so important to restrict how citizens speak to you because you aren't complying with the court order too? It is way past the time for the city to apologize for your actions on the Ryan House over the past year, for wasting $60,000 to try to justify those actions, for having those actions divide a close-knit community, and to honestly start a concerted effort to mend the perception that citizens have that you cannot be trusted. Please start focusing on those efforts versus how to restrict those of us who deeply love Sumner and come here to voice our opinions to the city council that we elected to represent us.
Jerry Yoder.
Jerry Yoder, 910 Traffic Avenue. I'm here. I got an email a couple of weeks ago from somebody, I can't remember the name, saying that they had found the plaques from Heritage Park. And they sent me pictures on my phone, and there was my plaque, which was supposedly destroyed. I talked to somebody, and they said, no, they're all destroyed. This plaque looked brand new, had Irwin Yoder on it, 1934, I think it was. And so I know it does exist. At home where I live, I built a big museum. Kathy's been there, so she knows it's not fictitious. But I've got the history of Sunset Chev there. I spent 57 years there. I've got history of some of my family. I'd love to have that plaque back. I know I can detail it, make it look brand new again. I spent my life doing that. And I'd like to have it home where it belongs instead of in a pile of whatever. But it's just, it means a lot to me. My dad spent 20 years on the Sumner Council. So I mean, I should have some rights to possibly get it. I mean, if it was destroyed like I was told, I could see it, but when I saw it in real life, you know, I know it exists and I think I could give it a lot better home. I don't know if I trust even the Sumner Historical Society, if they would do anything with it like I would at home. You guys are welcome. Anybody that wanted to come up and see my car museum with all my memorabilia stuff, call me anytime. You're more than welcome to it. Thank you.
Mr. Yoder, they'll get a hold of you and if it hasn't been if it wasn't destroyed, I don't remember seeing it myself.
I saw a picture of it. I mean,
And you'll get it
in
back.
pieces.
You'll get it back.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else like to say anything tonight? No. Okay. So we will move on to new business. Ordinance number 2896, amending Sumner Municipal Code 1.18, city's public records. Councilmember Bowman, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2896, amending Sumner Municipal Code 1.18 of the city's public records.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Elfers. All right. I will call on city clerk, who's faster than I am.
Good evening. I'm Michelle Converse, city clerk. And tonight before you, tonight before you is ordinance 2896, which is updating the city's public records process. The ordinance was reviewed to ensure processes and current legislations have been incorporated and to review the fee schedule. And we have also added 2 words to provide clarification and the updated ordinances on the dais in front of you. The legislature allows the city to charge small amounts for the average request, 5 cents for 4 emails, or $2 for the overall request. Police records are allowed to charge fees for body-worn camera videos and collision or accident reports. After a review of our process fees with surrounding cities, Sumner's current charge for body-worn cameras processing is extremely low. It's at 60 cents a minute or $36 an hour. This is based upon a cost study conducted by our records management specialist based upon her total cost of compensation in 2021. After a current review and based on surrounding city fee schedules, the city will now be charging proposing, to charge $52 per hour or 80 cents a minute per video for redaction of the video. This is only charged for those who are not involved in the incident per the RCW. We are also adding or requesting a charge of $7 per collision or accident report to anyone who is requesting the information. While these won't fully cover our costs, we are charging what is allowed by the RCW. And we will begin charging these fees in January 1 of 2025. And so I'm asking for your approval for the ordinance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Michelle? No? Thank you. Any comments from the public on this?
I just,
Podium and
I just had a question that maybe you'd be allowed to answer. The police incident, is that you charge $7 even to the people who are involved in the incident? So we pay our taxes to employ the police and the police staff. And then we have to pay again if we need information. It's okay. I understand it.
thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Only traffic collisions.
Accident, it's collision or accident reports.
Right.
Mayor, can Chief Murphy come up and clarify that?
You're already involved.
And to the citizens' question, so it's specifically only for collision reports. So any other type of report, theft or victim of a crime or any of that, there's no charge.
Thank you. All right. Any comment from the council? No? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Brown,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Clairjet,
Yes.
Ranky,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Potato. Cole,
Yes.
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Okay. That's it for our agenda today. We will move on to council reports. Councilmember Clerget, do you have a report tonight?
Not tonight.
Not tonight. All right.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Alpers.
I've just been enjoying the sunshine, and also just wanted to mention that we, weeks ago on July 18th, there was just the Pierce County Regional Council. And we heard some updates from Pierce Transit, still no plans to be in Sumner, but that would be something we're still looking at, East Pierce County wanting to get some Pierce Transit over here eventually, possibly. And then Shape update, they give an update and they're still working really hard. I really think they are a good organization that they're trying to help provide housing. And so they're working with different cities. And so we got an update on that, and both good updates, and yeah, that's about it for the Pierce County Regional Council.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole.
No report, thank you.
Councilmember Ranky.
Just a couple things. I did attend the Music Off Main a couple weeks ago. The last one's coming up on the 10th of August. It'll be the last one for the year, if people are interested. I also last week went to a management workshop on budgets for cities. It was pretty informative, a 2 days conference in Wenatchee with some other members, and it was very interesting. Just talk about how the tax dollars, how to do budgeting for cities, those kind of things. And just been enjoying the sunshine too and the weather, and that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
No comment tonight. Thank you.
All right. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kind of a long report tonight, so I'll do my best to keep it as concise as possible. Next week at our study session, the library will be present to give us an update on the new library, as well as the library capital facilities area, including some renderings of what the library might look like. So it should be a good presentation. You'll also be hearing from our applicants that applied for some community partner funds. That's part of our budget process. We put out a notice of fund availability, and different groups can apply to the city for general fund support for the 25 and 26 budget. August 19th at the regular council meeting, quite a full night. You'll be considering a resolution to accept a grant from Department of Commerce for the cemetery facility, a resolution adopting your updated council rules and procedures, a purchase and sale agreement for our property on 16th Street for flood protection, a consultant supplement for design regarding the River Grove pedestrian bridge, a First Amendment to the Greenwater North LLC, Six Kilns Apartments LLC settlement agreement, a services agreement for senior center management with Stafford Suites, a resolution to accept a grant for solar panels for City Hall, a construction contract award for the Stewart Road Pond repair, a design supplement agreement for the West Well and cemetery irrigation improvements, a water service change order for the cemetery maintenance building, and a Sumner Texaco Heritage Park remediation ecology voluntary cleanup program agreement. And finally, an ordinance amending our pretreatment regulations in our Sumner Municipal Code. On the personnel front, Councilmember Ranky and Councilmember Botetto attended the AWC budget training in Wenatchee that Councilmember Ranky just mentioned. Just want to say a special shout out to our Chief Financial Officer, Cassandra Raymond, and Communications Director, Carmen Palmer. They both presented at the conference, and they were actually we were one of a few cities that was asked to lead those discussions. So quite an honor. On the policy front, this week, the departments are completing their budget meetings with the mayor for their 25-26 budget requests. Over the next few weeks, the mayor will complete her proposed budget, and then budget presentations to council will start in September. This Friday, starting at 3:30, the Sumner Cultural Arts Commission is holding their annual Chalk Art Festival at Loyalty Park. It's followed by our last Music Off Main, as Councilmember Ranky mentioned, and it's Kalimba, which is an Earth, Wind, and Fire tribute band, and they start at 6:30 p.m. Once again, that's at Loyalty Park, a little bit different than our normal summer concert series. And then next Monday at 5 p.m., we'll be celebrating the completion of the cemetery operations building. We're going to cut a ribbon, provide some tours. The public is also welcome to join in that celebration. And that'll be before our regular study session. I'll take a few minutes and discuss the plaques that were brought up tonight, as well as the benches and the bricks. As stated before, the fountain was built by the city, including the purchasing of those plaques. The fountain did reach end of life and was removed. Several of the plaques were also damaged, but we also have several plaques like members of the public mentioned tonight. Per our city code, that needs to be surplus because it was purchased by the city. That surplus is scheduled for discussion at the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting, which is this Thursday at 4 p.m. Information is on our website, how to attend that either in person or virtually. It really then becomes a council direction, a committee direction rather, on what to do with those flags. You've heard tonight, there's been multiple options thrown out there. You could give them back to representatives of the family. There's some challenges with that because, you know, while these families are represented, other families might have multiple people that want that plaque. The other option that Melissa Fox brought up is giving them to a nonprofit like the Historical Society for safekeeping. All those are an option or a combination thereof could be an option. So the important thing is, you know, if somebody wants them back, there's no need for the city to continue holding on to them. So they need to have a proper disposition. Regarding the bricks, those were paid for by members of the public. They were about $30 each in the late 1990s. Those were completely damaged being pulled up because they were actually not bricks. They were actually just thin pieces of veneer brick. And we do have those names. We have a lot of other names too that donated private funds to the park that did not have their name anywhere on it. So we will be exploring ways to incorporate those into future park designs. I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Any questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. All right. Well, since everybody took all of my comments, and I guess I will say thank you for coming, and this meeting is adjourned at 6:32.